Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toiwan Jabela, your host for tonight. Let's quickly look at today's front page of Namibian Sun, after which we will also have a short message, very exciting message for you from our friends at ShopRite. Good evening. So today we have a very special session today, special in the sense that this man here was here on Tuesday this week. We had a very interactive interview with him, and you, the viewer, said I must bring him back. So I heeded your call, and I am having him back in the studio. Mr. Kazenambo, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I don't know what you did on Tuesday that has led to people saying I must bring you back, but I'm thankful that you are back. So we were getting into the future of our conversation. We were dealing with the past. We were just going into the future. But before we go into the future, let's talk about the present, and that is that you hinted that day on Tuesday that you are a holder of fishing quotas, and I look at the registrar of assets at Parliament. Almost every politician, the MPs, even the opposition colleagues, your Shuhamenis, your Kachavivis have fishing quotas. Are you part of a cabal or a syndicate that had benefited from these things? How did you get yours, as a matter of fact?
Thank you very much, Toivo. And your question, I hope we must address it in a manner within the context of the business environment and move away from personalities.
Yes.
Fishing right and other concessions in this country are advertised, are out there for everybody to apply for those rights, and there is no limitation. It's just, your question is just like asking me how have I acquired my degree if I'm a politician. I acquired my degree because I went to school. I went to the university. I struggled to educate myself. So I acquired my fishing right because they are open for everybody to apply. And there is no restriction whether you are a politician or you are a businessman or you are a journalist. If there are those discrimination, in business administration we have those discrimination because we call them positive discrimination. And to arrive at positive discrimination, it can be either price discrimination or whatever form of discrimination. So let it be law that politicians in Namibia by law, you don't apply for any concession. But to personalize issue and blame people and blackmail people simply because of their professional careers, if they have applied for something that is open for everybody, we are not helping.
So how is it that you don't see the trend that I'm seeing here, that somehow just the predominance of politicians in that space is just going? I mean, a lot of people must have applied, but politicians seem to have just been getting them.
Again, we are going to personalities and we are going to sectors. I'm saying that if, and it's a big if that I'm underlining there, let us not make an assumption. If it is wrong for politicians to apply, let's come up with that law. But as we are talking now, there is no law that forbid politicians to apply for any business in this country, rather than them being required to declare their assets. And really, I think we must shift our mind and have a shift of mindset. These things of ostracizing people because of their, and categorizing, putting people in pigeonholes, it is not helping to the bigger strategic issue. We are focusing on petty issues. This is pettiness and meaning, and very mean. Let's move away from the Stone Age mentality that believing that any wealthy, any well-to-do person, he must have applied witchcraft and sorcery. We must move from that stage. If you could come up with a clear question to say that, no, you guys, you are politicians, and because you are politicians, you have put laws, whether we are colluding, whether you are opposition politician or ruling party opposition, if we connived somewhere, set in the dark or shared information, then definitely we must be investigated and get arrested soonest, and the rehabilitation centers must be full of former politicians. But if the laws of this country, it's just like people saying that you are all politicians in the church. What are you doing in the church? If we are all believers and the church is open for everybody, what is the crime there? And what is the crime if politicians have applied for fishing rights or what? Unless if they are using their positional power, either access to information to do that. But there is nothing that suggests so far. I just applied, just like anybody. Just like anybody. If a person is lazy to not to apply, wait, or his duty is to accuse others of those who are making efforts, that's his choice.
Okay, fair enough. I'm asking this because we are in a country where, you know, it's fair for politicians to have access to these things. They are citizens like everybody else. But by virtue of their positions, there seem to be a trend that they are having farms, they are having this, they are having that ahead of others, and you wonder, but let's move away from that. I was just giving you the context of my question.
Let us not leave it hanging.
Okay.
Let us not leave it hanging.
Yes.
Let us address it for the better of enlightenment. I couldn't have come here if it was just for fun of it.
Yes.
I don't need it. But because we want to enlighten ourselves in order for us to move effectively, if politicians or doctors or lawyers or journalists apply openly for a venture that is outside there, we are talking about transparency. And them declaring the assets is part of transparency. If that transparency is found wanting, then let us not speculate. We are in the days of throwing bones on the ground and then diagnosing cancer through throwing bones on the ground. Let's go to the Minister of Fisheries and say, how has Kazenambo applied? Was he given because he's a politician, or he followed due processes? If I have followed due process, then what's wrong with that? But if it was not done transparently, or my buying of the farm, if I get my money, I'm an employee as a politician, there is no rule in this country that forbid me to buy a farm privately. And let us also not confine ourselves to witchcraft, to say that no, and superstition, to say that how has Kazenambo acquired a farm in a free open market? If I was given the farm through resettlement, and then it should be a problem. But if I acquired my farm, I get my salary. You get your salary as a journalist, you get your salary as a manager, as a banker, as a what. We have got choices in a free democracy to use our money, to invest. What we invest on, it's our choice. But if I have accessed the farm without following market processes, either the farm was advertised or it was passed on to me through dubious things. Let those dubious activities be exposed. That's transparency. And it's a fair question when you're asking it. But to paint politicians, all politicians, from opposition or what, we are citizens just like anybody. And if we are getting access to resources in a manner that we are disadvantaging other citizens. That's the duty of the journalists. That's the duty of politicians who believe in justice, to expose that. And it's also for society, members of the society, to say that no, we know for a fact that Kazenambo, you have stolen a farm, or you got that farm favorably. Let's put facts on the ground. But to operate in a culture of stone age of suspecting people and labeling people and blackmailing people, we are not taking this nation anyway.
Fair enough. There was last week the presidential high-level panel on the economy that was assembled by President Gengop to revive the economy, help revive the economy, suggested to the president that, well, in fact, they said the manner in which fishing quotas are being, we are talking about the economic approach now. They are saying that the current regime of administering this process has to change. And we know that there are people who get fishing quotas and sell them right away to Spanish or whatever companies and make a quick fortune. So I'm not trying to personalize this question, but I need to ask you this. How are you administering your fishing quotas? Are you an active participant in that space? Are you employing people? Or did you sell yours also to Italians and Spanish?
It's a fair and good question, and goes to the board. These are strategic questions that we need to address. I welcome the view of these colleagues. In fact, I've mentioned it a long time before. Both in Parliament, I said, I'm a fishing quota holder. In Parliament, I have mentioned that. In Parliament, even in Politburo, we can go to the minutes of the Politburo Central Committee. I mentioned it at various platforms. I said the model which we are employing at the moment of empowering individuals. It doesn't take individuals, including myself. Including myself. After I had been a beneficiary for years, so-called beneficiary, because in reality I don't benefit anything from this fishing quota. And that's why I'm saying that the model, it is not on. It is not helpful. To start with, you are taking a national economic resources. You are giving it on the hands of few at the expense of the entire nation. And the models, the tools of administering it, they're not taking us anywhere. It's just like resettlement. You are taking a natural resources of the entire nation. You are selecting few individuals. Some of them who have lost nothing. You resettle them there. And that's why these farms, because anything that you are given for free, sometimes you don't use it productively. And also it's not the best way of managing resources, and that's why the issue of monitoring and evaluations come in here. You give a farm that is bought with taxpayers' money, including money of ordinary people who in the street who are working hard, and then you give it to one person. The criteria used, some of these criteria are so dubious, they are not convincing, and that's why I'm saying that nation building is always work in progress. Ever work in progress. Countries that are free 2,000 years ago or 200 years ago, nation state maybe started around 1400. They are still grappling with the same issue that we are grappling with here. And for us to grapple with these issues, we don't need to favor one another. No, we don't need to fear one another. Let's confront issues and reform this issue where necessary. They are not casting stones, and if these models are not working, they are really not working. Like the models of picking people, few people, and giving them fishing quotas. And including myself sitting here, I've been holding a fishing quota for how many years? 5 years? To start with, I'm being blamed there. Maybe some people, they think that I'm benefiting anything from it. To be honest, this is a disaster. It's a disaster.
In what way?
I'll elaborate. It's a disaster. To start with, as I'm sitting here, I'm not capacitated. Rather than having been empowered to be given a letter, a certificate that I belong to a certain company, those companies, how they are behaving, they are mafias, including the one which I belongs to. Because these companies, these entities are not administered in ethical way. They are not administered like any business entities. To start with, some of the directors that are there, they don't know anything. They're just picked from left and right and center. They just go there. No wonder that some directors in companies, they will, when they are being asked to account on things, they say, I don't know. And they're not joking, because they don't have capacity to understand the sophistication of how business is run and so on. I have never been to the ocean, not at all. Maybe I even don't know how to swim. Let alone, I got no clue how this industry works. And those who know this industry are manipulating it. Maybe you are talking about those politicians who are there. There are also other people who are being collected from the villages by these companies. What is happening in economics? It's rent seeking. And we have got a lot of rent seeking in this economic management, private sectors of ours, and economic management. It is in mining, rent seeking is mining, the rent seeking is in projects, tenders and everything. And this is what I'm saying, that moving into the future, we need to look at these models. We need to look at these policies. That's why I welcomed what the colleagues from the economic panel, I don't know how you call it, because maybe also in this country we choose to listen to certain people while we ignore certain people. The corruption which we are dealing with in Fish Road, I was part of it, who mentioned it in Parliament. Journalists here in this country, they have written about it. We only acted when it came from Al Jazeera. But go to newspapers and everything here, people have been saying it.
What was your immediate view of when that thing came out? Did it ring bells to you?
I said it many years ago. I said, there we go. Even when these colleagues who are on the issue of, who are saying that the fishing quota need to go to schools, to institutions and so on, I said it at various platforms. After my experience, with my own so-called fishing quota, I've got a friend, we went to school together in England, to universities. He has been wanting to sell his shares for the past 10 years, because we applied together and we are both fishing. What do you call this thing?
The right holder.
Right holder. He cannot, nobody will buy his shares, because to start with himself, he doesn't know the value of it. He doesn't know. And this is a guy, an economist par excellence, a top guy from SOAS, University of London, trained in business administration, blah, blah. He doesn't know the value of his shares. Can you imagine my sisters and grannies and so on in the villages? They don't know. Some of them, they are given a big check, which is hanging there. They don't know. Some of them, they are collected there when the fishing rights are coming now. They are fronted, they are put in trust. Those trusts never receive anything, nothing. They are given peanuts. The mafias are tapping on this what? This industry, this economy is a satellite economy. From a private sector perspective, we need to re-engineer ourselves. We need to build capacities, and it's everywhere. It's not in the fishing industry. Even the insurance industry in this country is one of the corrupt industry. I can go industry to industry and I can tell you why. There are many people who insure their properties, who it's easy to insure your property or car or what. When it comes to now, the accident happened and you need what. It's a nightmare. The bureaucracy, you are told you signed this clause, and also we have got this way of signing documents, and even myself, I'm a victim of it in many ways. You sign these documents either based on faith, either based on lack of understanding, and what transpired there. We are dealing with many companies in the private sector that have got no ethic. They are not subjected to any business codes. They are just because this many of them are foreign companies. They are satellite companies here. They are like here in the cattle post. Many of them, they are South African companies. If you now, after you sign a contract or you have signed an insurance or you have been given a fishing quota, the company that is really catching fish at sea is a Spanish company. What he's doing at sea there, it's not known. How the price, you know, in business administration and in marketing, we deal with 4 P's. And the 4 P's are product, place, price, and promotion. These are 4 P's. And in these 4 P's are applicable in any business.
Yeah.
Whatever you whatever you talk about.
Yeah.
And many of us so-called business people in this country, we don't understand these basic market dynamics.
Yeah.
We are nowhere in the supply chain. We are we are just rented by excellence. We are just rented. And that's why this answers the issue of the fishing quotas. Fishing quota is a right that is there, and this is clear demonstration of rent seeking. Government come up with a policy at a micro-public policy level. It's thrown there in the private sector. There is no monitoring and evaluation. And then these people who are thrown outside there, after they get their rights, be it mining rights or fishing concession or tender of road construction, now they are thrown back to the sharks.
Yeah.
And the sharks are waiting there who understand the sophistication of the market, who understand the meaning of the 4 Ps, who understand the other market dynamics.
Sure.
They swallow us with no mercy.
I get that. So you are now a very, very active business person. How is your business? How are your businesses affected by the current economic recession in the country? What are some of the challenges that you encounter as a result of the way the economy is performing at the moment?
The many companies are going through a tough cycles, and it's not only companies. Maybe various sectors. Construction. Retail. Various sectors, and the impact and the effects will manifest themselves differently. Market vulnerability per sector are informed by a number of dynamics, depending where you source depending on from where you source your material, depending on what are you engaged in, depending on the human capital that you have, the human resources, depending on the size of your economy, depending on the employee workers environment. These are factors that play there. So really, I think from some of my companies, I think we have been spared, but the many Namibian companies, I find it difficult because of a number of factors. Because some colleagues are trying very, very hard in the private sector. And since we have asked this question, maybe let me address it this way, briefly, that we need to go to models of building private sector development in this country. And I'm repeating, let's copy models and working models in order to address our private sector development. What models am I talking about? You have got a Singaporean model, the model of Singapore, and then you have got the Nordic model of Norway, where in certain extent there is their state, the Norwegian model or Nordic model, in terms of developing private sector. Firstly, their state is a welfare state, and then they've got the private sector involvement, and then their market it's structured in a manner that respond to both private sector and state interventions. That's a model that is working, and it's addressing poverty in its own. The Singaporean model, if we want to benchmark, it comes closer to our situation here, because Singapore in 1965, when they attained their independence, the characteristics of our market were similar to theirs. And in fact, we claim that we are in an advantageous position because we are rich, we are endowed with a lot of natural resources, which they didn't have. But they had a high percentage of elite, of uneducated people. Their country was so diverse culturally, worse than us, because some of their people literally they were foreign, they had dual citizenship and so on. But they focused on something. Here we have got we are not focusing on strategic issue. We are focusing on fighting one another. If we can change the mindset of focusing, of Namibians fighting one another in the church, at homestead, disempowering ourselves, this can contribute to us focusing on private sector development, focusing on the laws and policies of companies operating here. How do they empower Namibians? How do they train Namibians? How do they pass skills to Namibians? The private sector currently, my friend, there are those of us who are calling ourselves business people. The market fundamental, the market environment is not friendly to us, because the people who are fighting you, they are your own brothers, your own. And Namibians, we have got a high degree of self-hate. Self-hate, we don't want ourselves to progress. We are our worst enemies. When it politically, economically, socially, we are worst enemies. And before you chip in, some of the companies that could be doing well, small companies started, they are finding it difficult to make it in the market, not because of the issue of supply and demand, not because of the issue, there is no demand, or they are weak in terms of their production, because I talked about 4 Ps. They are producing quality products. Sitting in their houses there with quality products. They have got nowhere to sell these products. Last weekend I was in Kakarara area, in the Konjat area. I went to Namibians there who are producing eggs, and they have got no market. Kakarara school is there, secondary school is there, the hospitals is there, but I'm telling you, those Bantu brothers of mine who are sitting there, immediately there's this fellow Bantu are appearing with the goods here. Already, jealousy is there, but they will jump.
So President Gingo was right recently when he said there's a lot of black on black hate in the country.
He's spot on. Let's re-engineer our thinking. Let's re-engineer. You know, Namibians, you were talking earlier on, you were talking about people selling their fishing quota. It's true. People fish. Some of them they sell because they don't have any understanding of handling this thing. And also many of us, our psychology is quick richness. We want to become rich. And also the way we define wealth, also it also leaves much to be desired. It's based on ignorance. Driving a car for some people it's wealth. That's why when those who were rented to get tenders during the time when the economy was performing, they never bothered to either learn skill transfer. The only thing, when they have either through their connection lobbied for a tender, and rent seeking, it goes with lobbying. When they have lobbied the tender for construction of the road, they never bothered to go and learn how the road is being constructed. The only thing that they went is to, after they get the tender, is how much commission do we get? And that's why they get the commission and they buy the cars. And that's why when these tenders dried up, cars were dispossessed. We were not left with any skills. And these are the realities. We don't learn what is the business environment, what is the market environment, how do I develop my business, how do I negotiate business. Even in these fishing quotas, fishing right holders, some of them are not negotiators. Namibians we are good at assuming of acquiring things that we cannot manage. Some of us will become board members. Even me, I don't know anything about health. Health, nothing. But I will happily agree to become a board member of a health institution, or as a scientifically demanding institution. Yes, if I have got management skills, it's better. But if I don't have any offer skills, whom am I doing disservice? I'm doing a disservice to this country, I'm doing a disservice to this economy, and this is what you find throughout. You find people who are so-called negotiators. They are put in strategic institution, they go there, they are in business, the only thing that they are given is credit card, but they are manipulated to the bone because they don't have an understanding.
We are running out of time again. But I have the last question to you, and that is, we are hearing now we're moving a bit to government and politics. Briefly, we are hearing now that the president plans, in fact, he confirmed it himself, that he's going to downsize his cabinet. Part of the strategy there is also to help arrest the government wage bill. But how do you navigate your way around a very tricky situation like that? You may have to send some ministers home, or you may have to merge some ministries. One ministry has already an executive director, and they're merging.
What is the problem with sending ministers at home? There are people at home, they are coming from home, there are people at home. In fact, you are saying they are being sent home, they are not being sent to the wolf.
But they take it personal. You just mentioned earlier about how we do not understand, it's about ourselves. It's not about the country, it's not about anything else.
Therefore, let's admit that we are, by that question, by that confession, let's admit that we are a greedy people. And then we don't need anybody to treat our greed. Let ourselves treat greed ourselves. If you are being, I was a minister, I'm here. Have I died? Yeah? I'm still talking to you. If there is a reason to cut, who should cut it? Maybe we are the leaders that we're waiting for. Let's program ourselves and say the reality, we cannot sustain this economy. And that is why I'm saying that. Toivo, we need self-evaluation. We need to analyze the size of our economy. We need to deal with the realities. If a reality calls for us to cut, let's cut. If President Nyoma used to talk about, let's tighten our belt. If it's time to tighten our belt, let's tighten our belt. And also let us look at this issue of not only of how many who are people who are hated by Hage if they are cut. No, let us look, can our economy sustain the size of the cabinet that we are having at the moment, irrespective, and my sympathies to those who will be affected. I will cry with them or laugh with them. They are really my comrade. I like them, but the reality will dawn on us. It's either we'll have a choice of keeping it this way to a point where nobody will be paid anyway and nobody will work. So if this is the way of capping it, if he will do it, I'll welcome it. Not that it will not affect me because I'm already out, but reality, if I can be out, others can be out. And there is no harm about that. And also, if it is done rationally. But this thing of cutting government size, it's not the only law. Listen, what we have got a lot of economic leakages. The holes are too wide and too many. And the government wage bill is one of those holes. And if it can be closed, you know, one of the biggest hole here is parastatals. It's parastatal. One of the another big hole, it's unethical companies in the private sector that are ripping government, stealing literally, sanctioned theft, official theft, that have got no ethic. They will tender to provide something, and they will provide substandard goods and services, and so on and so forth. Those are some of the loopholes. Another loophole. Lastly, to avoid the danger, we are informalizing our economy too much. And what do I mean by this? Our economy is becoming a dumping ground. There are, and all these things that I've mentioned since the time we started, they boil to 2 points. There is no monitoring and evaluation. Either we put a strong unit there that will police the economy, either in the Ministry of Trade or in the National Planning. You see, if you go around here, Katutura and many towns, you will find people even in ShopRite, in front of ShopRite, selling goods, which ShopRite is selling. ShopRite is paying tax. These people, to who do they pay tax? When you touch those people, blah, 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 blah. But firstly, the goods that are coming there, I talked about 4 P's initially. The goods that are coming there, what are the health standards? Who check where do they come from? where are they produced? When they are being sold, affecting the issue of supply and demand, distorting it. Who checks on them? And we are complaining that our hospitals are empty.
Yes.
From where do the diseases originate them? The corona.
Yes.
It comes from a market that can be traced.
Yes.
If a disease outbreak here, how will we monitor the private sector? And how will we know where this is it caused by the onions that are when and where do this food expire? And when are they what? So really, these are some of the loopholes. We are informalizing our economy in many sectors.
Many sectors. Mr. Kazenambo, thank you very much.
And we cannot go with that into the future.
Yes.
We need to do something.
I agree.
Parastatals, some of them must go because they are delivering zero.
Yeah.
Namibia is one of them. I've been talking about it, and people they say when you talk about Namibia, some are saying that no, we are flying our flag. You are burning your money, and the people are poor in the street.
Yes. We ended there, sir. I appreciate your time, Mr. Kazenambo, again.
Good.
Yeah,
so I think this one is the last. Others must come.
Others must come. Good. That was Mr. Kazenambo returning to the show after you demanded as the viewers that he must come back, and we brought him back. So we appreciate your time, and we hope you enjoyed this last session. On a very light note, we are leaving you with an interview between our colleague Michael Kayunde, speaking to the Twazis, the Namibian musical group that came in the studio and had a word with him. Enjoy. It's Friday, yet another edition of Chill Sessions with me, Michael Kayunde, and joining me today in studio is, the prolific duo that is Twazis. They are here to announce their big news that they're going to be talking about in details. But before we get to that, welcome to the show, guys. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm nice.
Thanks for having us, man.
I'm good. It's great to be here, man. It's our first time.
I know you are always welcome here. But moving right on, you guys announcing something big today, which is Friday. What are you guys announcing?
Man, it's about TS10. When I'm saying TS10, it's about we are celebrating 10 years in the music industry. So we're having this concert, the biggest concert in our whole career, which is TS10 music concert, which is happening in September.
Yeah. So basically, you guys are celebrating being in the music industry for 10 years. And I have an idea of, why this is so important for you and your fans. Just to move right along, in terms of the dates, he mentioned that it's going to be in September, but what is the exact date in September?
Okay, the exact date is the 12th of September. It's going to be 12th of September. The venue is still to be announced. We're going to have still a formal media launch, then still invite you guys where you can still ask questions and whatnot. So this is just to tell you guys, TS10 is happening. We've been hinting it since last year. So right now we're just telling you the ball is rolling now.
Another interesting thing about this concert is the ticket price.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it, but I want you guys to announce yourself that, how much are the tickets going to cost?
Since we announced it today, today is just the announcement that something like this is happening, and the tickets are gonna be available from end of this month. They're gonna be available from end of this month, and the tickets for the first 2 months will only be going for $10 Namibian. Say just $10 only, and then because the thing is, what we wanna do is what our goal is. We actually want 10,000 people. So that's why the first 2 months we're gonna be selling tickets for $10, and then the prices will be going up.
So $10 for the price, and you want 10,000 people at the concert. 10 because you're celebrating 10 years in the music space. In terms of the supporting acts, can you guys share already who's going to be, supporting you on this concert?
That we can't say as for now, but I know you can expect everyone that we have been working with throughout these 10 years. Everyone that we have worked with since our first album to date, and of course we'll see to it that we also get a few international acts as well. So within the time that goes, we'll let you guys know.
You mentioned international acts. Why is it so important for you guys to rope in international acts when you are celebrating your music, you know, your stay in the music space for 10 years? Why do you need an international act?
The reason why actually we'll be having an international on this concert is because we'll be having a song with an international artist. So basically we'll also be performing that song. It's not just gonna be an international artist coming to perform his own songs. No, it's because we'll be having a song together. That's why we will be and then that we're featuring, and then we're gonna have him or her, whatever. I don't wanna get into detail as we're still busy with discussions.
Right on. So 10 years, 4 albums that you guys have put out in the last 10 years. To just wrap it up, what has been some of, you know, the highlights, you know, that you want to celebrate in your music industry?
Besides the 4 albums that you mentioned, it's the journey, man. The journey has been amazing, you know. Ever since we started, it has just been building up, you know. There are ups and downs, but still we've been building up, you know. And we have made so much collaborations. We have made so much impact to the music industry. I believe in the Namibian music industry. We have teach the people our language through our music, you know. We've got the love from the fans, and then from each album, just to add up on that, from each album we actually have awards to each album. So it's actually something that needs to be celebrated.
You have won an award with each and every album that you guys put out.
Yeah, with all those 4 albums, yeah.
Well, there you had it. The Twazis are going to have their own concert celebrating their 10 years in the music industry. Tickets are going to go for $10 for the first 2 months, and their target is to have 10,000 people, you know, show up at that concert. All the best for this project, guys, and I know you're gonna pull it off. Thank you so much for coming through. But from me, Michael, until next time, same place, same time. Goodbye.